Welcome back everyone to my Let's Play of Final Fantasy II for the Nintendo Famicom system. Our heroes Fess, Booker, Maxine, and their friend Prince Gordon of Kashuan are finally heading into Kashuan Keep to try to find the Eagle Torch to transport the Sunfire out of the keep. The Sunfire, once it's on the torch, they can toss that torch into the Dreadnought's engine and hopefully destroy the engine. At least that's what Sid feels will happen if they do that. So, being the creator of the airships, if anybody knows how to destroy one, it probably would be Sid. So, we kind of took our time trying to get back to here because we wanted to try to get Gordon a little bit of stats. He didn't gain any hit points, unfortunately. He did gain some magic points, though, so that's good. He's basically going to be our secondary white mage. He'll really help out with the boss of this dungeon. It's one of the worst bosses in the game. So, and I'll point out why when we actually get to that boss. But, yeah, he can be a pain. He's much easier if we would have gotten lucky and gotten a Berserk Tome dropped from one of the magicians, but we didn't get it. But that's okay because I can show that you don't need the Berserk Tome to necessarily beat this boss. It just will take a little bit longer. So, but this first floor, pretty easy. We've got weak enemies. Start getting some tougher enemies once we start heading up into the next few floors, including we'll end up fighting the Adamanti, the boss of the last dungeon. So, yeah, level 5 monster. So, that'll be good for raising some weapon ranks. So, our goal inside of this dungeon, we want to really try to raise this Fess's Asuna spell. That's the one that removes all permanent status effects. So we'll just be casting it all the time in battle, trying to raise its level up. The higher the level, the more status effects it can remove, and obviously the more chances it has to hit. Because like if you cast it like in Asuna 7, it's basically being cast like 7 times. Fess right now unfortunately takes a massive penalty. Basically just has to rely on his spirit stat as a percentage to work, because with a shield that's 70% and most swords are about 50%, so he's having, you know, basically 100% penalty to his accuracy on those spells. You can de-equip the shield to take away the 70%, as long as you have a free item slot. If you have 2 free item slots, you can unequip the sword as well. And then you're getting the base accuracy of the spell plus the your spirit stat. But so eventually we're gonna get Fess off the shield. He'll have a secondary. His secondary like dodge weapon will be a knife, like a shield knife, the mangoche. It's French. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I probably pronounced the Eagle Torch wrong too. I think I said eagle. I don't know how it's pronounced, but the E-Torch, we'll just call it that. The electronic torch. Not to be confused with an e-cigarette, which are like all the big rave now apparently. So, don't smoke. So, I just learned today actually that the smoking age was raised to 21. So, I thought when I was growing up it was always 18. But anyway, yeah, I don't do any of that poison stuff. Speaking of poison, we're going to try to, that's another thing we want to do, is we want to build up the 2 lower level spells that Maxine has. Her lightning spell and the scourge spell. After we do the Dreadnought dungeon, which is the next dungeon, we'll end up getting a ship. And obviously we'll be on the boat, and we'll encounter a lot of sea monsters. And sea monsters, like the first Final Fantasy, are going to be weak to lightning. So lightning will be very useful on a sea trip. The Scourge Tome, once we get our boat, there's 2 dungeons that we can kind of go to. And one of the dungeons, the harder one, has a lot of Earth Elemental type monsters. And those Earth Elemental monsters are weak against like wind or the Scourge Tome, which is like poison wind element. So, hey, we got the boss of the last dungeon here as a random encounter, so which can actually be good because it gives a good chance to raise our weapon ranks. Nobody is at rank 5 yet, and since he's a rank 5 monster and appears by himself, we're getting a lot of points for that. So Maxine will just basically do the main damage with Blizzard. If she unfortunately does not take it out in one hit with the Blizzard, then she can just start working on her other spells to get some points, because like I said, he's a rank 5 monster. So one thing you could do to maybe get some damage with Booker or Fess and Gordon, who will only be able to damage the Amanti if they get a critical hit. Critical hits ignore an enemy's defense. You could equip Booker with the ancient sword, and then hope that if he hits the turtle, even if he doesn't do damage to it, as long as he hits it, there's a chance that it will curse the monster, and curse will drop its stats by basically half. So that's one way we're basically going to be taking out the boss of this Kashuan Keep. So he has really high defense, and he absorbs all spells. Any magic that you cast on him heals him. So we're gonna have to hopefully Booker, attacks, curses him, and then that cuts the defense and allows Fess and Booker and Gordon to start doing a little bit of damage to the boss. So got some ogres here. So we'll use. Luckily, these ogres ain't too tough. So that's why I'm not healing in battle. Most of the enemies here are rank 2. There's an occasional, like I said, rank 3s, and then the Adamanti, which is a rank 5. Most battles are rank 2s, so you don't necessarily have to heal outside of battle. I am not healing outside of battle so that I can cast the healing spells in battle in the hope that Fess and Gordon raise some MP or their spirit stat. So, especially when I get, like I said, Gordon more magic points. So, but even though Gordon's like a temporary party member, we have him for quite a bit of time. So, and being able to level up his heal spell will definitely help, because the Dreadnought is often considered one of like the tougher dungeons in the game. There's like 2 kind of big dungeons that like people think are like pretty tough. The Dreadnought's one of them. So, and then the dungeon after the Dreadnought could be tough. It's weird how they have it. The dungeon they tell you to go to after the Dreadnought is pretty tough, but there's another dungeon much later that they tell you to go to. But if you go to these dungeons out of order, basically like sequence breaking, it makes the game so much easier, because the latter dungeon you're supposed to go to, the enemies are basically rank 3 and 4, where like the dungeon they tell you to go to, the enemies are like rank 5. So if you end up doing the dungeons in the order they tell you to, by the time you get to that dungeon, the latter dungeon, you're not really going to be getting any stats, because you're just going to be mowing through the enemies real quick. So you're not going to be able to have like multiple turns to build up your skills, because the enemies are lower rank than you. So yeah, I will be doing the dungeons out of order. So, but I'll of course will point that out. That's several episodes away. So, like I said, it's going to take 2 episodes here to get through Kashuan Keep, and then the Dreadnought is a pretty big dungeon too. So, multiple objectives there. So, but we'll cross that bridge when you get to it. So, good old bridges. Bridges are good in a game I'll be Let's Playing after I finish Final Fantasy III, Dragon Quest. Because unlike this game, they usually show, where they don't show, where the big divide is of, monster increased difficulty. In Dragon Quest, we have a townsperson who basically says like, hey, be aware of bridges. They usually signify new monster areas. So it basically tells you, when you cross over a bridge, you're going into an area where monsters are going to be much tougher. So, now not all monster domains are separated by a bridge, but a good majority of them are. So, Dragon Quest was nice and user-friendly like that. So, fun little role-playing game. I got it for free, as I was a subscriber to Nintendo Power. that's how I guess I kind of fell in love with the role-playing genre. So they were Dragon Quest was really popular over in Japan. It still is, and I guess they banked on it being equally as popular over here in America. Didn't take off all that well, so Nintendo had a big storage of a bunch of unused unsold Dragon Warrior copies, and they did a little giveaway where if you subscribe to Nintendo Power, they would send you a free copy of the game. So I remember the first day it came in the mail. I got it with my Nintendo Power, and I was so excited to play it because it was just a new game, and I couldn't play it because we already had a plan to go out fishing with my father. My brother and I went out fishing with my dad, and I hated fishing. Not because it was preventing me from playing Dragon Quest, because I had no idea how fun Dragon Quest would be. I just knew it was a new game, but I just always found fishing boring. But the fun thing with Dragon Quest was it came with a manual, little guide, kind of quest guide, and then had like a little map with monsters on it that showed the stats of the monsters, the world map, and then a little card that gave you equipment and gave recommended levels to do stuff. And I remember just going out fishing, and I don't think I fished at all. I might have like thrown the rod out and didn't care at all if anything ever came, and so the fish got free food from me. But yeah, I just sat basically, in the chairs. We fished and basically read Dragon Quest manuals. So, a good memory of Dragon Quest. And my other bad memory of Dragon Quest, another memory of Dragon Quest that was bad though, was there's a lot of grinding in that game. It's a very grindy game. That game is not going to take me too long to get through. It's a long game to play through. But it's a lot of grinding. There's not a lot of stuff to do in that game. Probably like 75%, maybe even more, like 80% of the game is just fighting random monsters to gain levels to, advance the plot, which is bare bones. Basically, save the princess, then defeat the Dragon Lord, the big bad, with a few like side quests in between. But anyway, so I was at like level 17. Usually beat the game around like level 19, 18. 18 I think is when you get the last, the spell that you basically need to beat the game, unless you like max level 30, the Heal More spell. But anyway, so I spent a lot of time to get there, and I was playing it during a thunderstorm, and then of course the thunderstorm hit, and we lost power, and that erased the whole save off my game. And I cried so bad because I put so much time into Dragon Quest, and yeah. So my brother played the game a little bit too, growing up, but he didn't like the grinding. So he would just like, and me, I was a fan of grinding, I guess, because I never had to think when I did it. I just wandered around and hit. I'm a weird kid. I was a weird kid like that. But he would be like, hey, could you grind me up to like, basically level 10, and then that's when you can start kind of basically doing a lot of the quests. So I would usually just he would name a character, I would grind to level 10, wouldn't do anything with it other than just fighting monsters, and then I'd be like, okay, here we go. So, hey, we got him soon up to level 2. We got the golden shield there. Gold equipment is good against poison. It reduces damage to poison. So, that'll be good. We give it to Booker there. So that'll give Maxine something to do during that boss fight. She'll basically be poisoning Booker, casting the Scourge spell on him. So she gets some, black magic points toward her Scourge spell, and Booker will not take too much damage because of a piece of equipment that's resistant to the poison spell. He'll still take damage, but it won't be as much as if she targeted somebody else like Fess herself. Gordon will also get a piece of gold equipment, but it'll be body armor. So I don't mind giving Gordon heavy body armor because we're not really worried about building up his evasion, because he's going to be going into the back row eventually once he starts gaining some more hit points. So, but he's not gaining too many. He gained like the 22 there. That's how many he'll get because that's his stamina. But not a lot of folks are targeting him. But so his hit point growth isn't But maybe it's a good thing that he wasn't getting targeted because Booker just took a massive hit there. But hey, that's good. That'll give, pretty much should guarantee Booker gets a hit point increase, maybe a stamina increase as well. So, and then of course, every time your stamina increases, you'll get more hit points because the amount of hit points you get is based on your current stamina. So, and then he's evading the attack, so that's good. That's obviously helping the evasion. So, we're getting some good points on our Scourge thing right there. Casting its second time here on the Adamanti, and like I said, he's a rank 5 monster, so get some good quality points there. Like I said, we did level up the Ensuna spell up to level 2, so that's good. Now we'll cure in battle blindness and poison. So I unfortunately had 2 items in Fess's inventory, so I tried during that one battle to de-equip his shield. It didn't work because you can't equip an item in your hand. So I had to just try to cast the spell with the massive penalty, and it didn't work because his spirit stat is low and the massive 100% penalty that he's taken. But I fixed things up a little bit. I took off some of those items, so now next time he fights, if he needs to cast a spell in battle, he can de-equip the shield and get some better chance to cast the spell. I had to step away there for a quick second. Princess Guinevere was causing a little bit of a ruckus. So she's out playing. I actually had to, she's likes to cause trouble when I'm recording. So she was trying to get into the a clothes bin. So she actually jumped on my keyboard when I was recording earlier. Stopped the recording. I had to restart it over again. Silly little princess. So, princess is like, there's nothing wrong with me. Why am I getting fixed in a few weeks? Because we're getting boy rats. 2 older boy rats. Bub and Bob. I'm naming them after the dinosaur protagonists from Bubble Bobble. Maybe I'll play that game this year. It's not on my list of games to play. Like I said, my list is Final Fantasy 2, 3, 5 for the 4-job Fiesta, and then Dragon Quest 1 through 4. But, maybe I might take, some time off or something to do a quick little tiny game like that. So, because all these other games are pretty long, so, but probably this one is probably about a 2-month game. I think it took me 60 some episodes on my practice run. Final Fantasy 3 is about 40 episodes, so a little over a month. The Fiesta usually takes about 2 months to do. Dragon Quest 1 will be easy. That'll be about a 2-week, or 2 and 3, maybe about 2 months each. So, and then 4, I don't know. 4 might be a 2 or 3 month or 2. So, I didn't do a test run of 4, but I played 4 several times. So, but maybe I can do a test run while I'm doing the other ones, playing the other ones. So, we're getting a little higher into the keep here. We got the land turtle again. Unfortunately, he's rank 3 but he's brought down to rank 2 by those 2 ogres. Boo. So, you saw in the last battle there, I used the ancient sword with a Booker. You can switch swords out during battle just by, going into item and switching them around. So, I was able to curse the Adamanti turtle and able to actually do some damage with the physical attacks. So, yeah, but right now, our main boss killer is Maxine. That's what makes it so tough, this next boss coming up, because the next boss, like I said, absorbs all magic. Doesn't matter what you hit it with, it is going to gain hit points back. And it has high defense, so You can't be like, oh, I'll just hit it, you know, maybe heal it for like 40 hit points with, you know, a thunder spell, and then, you know, Booker, Fess, and Gordon will do more than 40 damage. It's not going to work like that, so. But that's all good. We will conquer the boss, and I'll give you some tips on how to do that. So right now, though, we're just gonna finish heading through this little piece of the castle here. That's a Werebuster. If you like, so that's a really good staff, especially because we're gonna run into a lot of were enemies coming up. There's quite a few in the Dreadnought. And then we've also run into the were-rats here. They were the ones who ran into several encounters with them. And they were also the enemies that guarded that the gold shield that is currently on Booker. So, and it's a pretty powerful weapon for this stage in the game. So, you know, you might want to train Gordon up on staffs. But like I said, we're doing bows. So that we can force hit point and agility growths in Fess, Maxine, and Booker. So, but yeah, those agility gains are really good because they determine, at least with Fess, you want to build his agility up because that's what's going to determine these preemptive strikes that we kind of got here. Preemptive strikes, of course, allow us to attack the enemy before they get a round of combat in on us. So, and also, you know, enemies can have preemptive strikes too, basically, you know, unexpected attacks. And you can reduce them by, you know, having high agility, so. Well, come back in our next episode. We finish up Kashuan Keep. Thanks for following along. Bye.